Welcome back to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin. I'm a lawyer, coder, and linguist, and all around kind of techie person. I went on the journey of automating my office work. Now I'm here to help you do the same on your journey, no matter where you are on that path. Today's episode is Live Build Tool Hub. Now, we've started this project back all the way back in episode, I believe, 34. Yeah, episode 34, mapping out a solution, a case study. In that, we went over how to map out a solution. And we actually used an example of creating an inventory of all of your technology and tools. And today we're going to take it a step further and actually start building. I'll show you a quick overview of what we went over last time. We went over all of the different things that you should consider, how to create, what this solution will look like. We have several things. We have problem issues. We have users and groups. We have an interface. We have databases. If I zoom in a little bit, we have databases. There's what is this? A feedback database. And then we have the interface, that the different pages that the user will interact with. There's a home page, a tool page, an admin page, an edit page, and it looks like there's a comments section where there could be a discussion of people in the future that want to leave feedback about a specific tool. So yeah, if you want to go over why we're building this or what we're thinking of how it was designed, you can go back to episode 34. Today is episode, what is it? Today is episode 79. So that's about half of our podcast ago. That's about a year ago that we went over this, or almost a year. Let's see. Okay. So we've got this and we're going to start building it. I'm going to build it in SharePoint today. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to build the whole thing. We'll go about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We'll see how long I want to go with this. But I'm going to give you some real basics of how to get started actually technically building a solution in SharePoint. And then let's see, maybe I'll continue doing this in the future, and maybe I will put it behind a paywall. Maybe I could monetize the last half of it or something, so that those of you who want to keep going, yeah, you could teach yourself, kind of like how I did. I'm self-taught. Or if you really want me to help you even further, we can put some benefit there for both of us, going both ways. All right, so I've got this is SharePoint. If you do not have access to a SharePoint, there is a thing called the developer program. You go to developer.microsoft.com and you can log in. You can even use your existing corporate account, and it will create a developer account under your username. You just have to already have an account. Like I have an account even using my old Hotmail address. So like I can log in. Let's see. Microsoft Build. Choose your language, resources. Anyway, there's a way to create developer accounts. Let's see, Microsoft Developer Program. Maybe that's it. Okay, here it is. It's at developer.microsoft.com/en-us/Microsoft-365/dev-program. And you can sign in at the top, and then there's a button to join now. If I just say join now, I think it's going to ask me to log in. It might even say that I can't with my current. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. So yeah, it asks for your country, region, the name of your company. I am logged in right now using my Hotmail account. You can log in using a corporate account, and it creates basically your very own SharePoint that you can be You will be the admin of it, and you can do development work in it. You can create things. Basically, you're like the SharePoint admin for your own SharePoint instance. Some of the things that I'm going to show here, you actually have, if you actually want to use this in your daily work, you'll need to get a SharePoint admin, usually from your IT department, to help you to set this up. But if you don't have that, or if you want to start doing this on your own, there is this developer program. As the developer program, it does wipe out your data like every 3 months. So it's not meant to be a permanent place. It's meant to be a place that you can play around and you learn how to do it. And then your data is wiped every 3 months. If you do not want your data to be wiped every 3 months, there's also a payment plan for a developer program. And this is what I got a few years ago when I started my business. I joined with the developer program, but at that time, they were also like getting rid of the developer program because there were, I guess, people who were abusing the system. They were using free accounts to create like a SharePoint and a Microsoft 365 instance, and then they were using it to spam people. So Microsoft clamped down. They stopped that. They said you can only keep your developer account if you also connect it to a credit card account and if you pay us. It was only a small amount of money. It's only like 11 euros. What is that? Like 13 US dollars per month. So this is the one that I have. And by doing it this way, I do not have my data wiped every 3 months. So you can figure out what's right for you. Okay, once you have a SharePoint that you can be on, you'll want to create a SharePoint. My SharePoint is at sites/legal. And then you will need to get I all development in SharePoint since I believe 2024. It has to be done inside of a web part. And then all web parts have to be inside official SharePoint pages. Before, you used to be able to just make like an HTML page and put it anywhere. Now, no, you have to put your development inside a web part, and then the web part has to be used on a page. Okay, so I have a web part that I created that allows you to do development in an external file that is then on your SharePoint. Another way of doing this is to put all of your code inside of a web part. This might be your preferred way of doing things once you have something at a product stage that you're ready to publish to everyone. For me, when I'm in development, when I'm prototyping, especially if I'm doing this on a client's SharePoint, I don't, it's, I guess, how do I put this? It's uncomfortable to repackage all of your code into a web part every single time you make any change. And then you have to email the IT department and get them to update, to re-upload the web part. They might take a couple hours, a couple of days, a week. And to me, that's just not necessary. So I created my web part. It takes, I guess I'll show it to you as I'm doing this, but I will also show you where to get the web part. It is at automateofficework.com/products, and then go down below, and there's one called web part. So it's at automateofficework.com/products/web part. There is a link to an online store where you can buy it. It is currently in US dollars $19.99. You get it. It's a SharePoint package, and there are instructions for how to purchase it, how to set it up in your SharePoint, and then how to use it. I will show you how to use it. I will go to my site contents. I'm going to create a new page. So I go to Pages and click on New. And there are different kinds of pages. There's a wiki page, there's a web part page, and a site page. By default, when you just create a page on a SharePoint, it usually creates a site page, and then you're able to place several web parts wherever you want to put them. I like to do a web part page and this only allows for a single web part to be used on the page. Also, hey, this is slightly different as well. This is the old classic SharePoint pages. So this isn't the modern one. This is allowing me to place, instead of an HTML page, it's going to place a .aspx page, and I can put it in any document library that I want. I can call it anything that I want. This is not the way that Microsoft wants you doing this in the future. They want you to only place things in the official site pages library, which is called site pages. So we should not be doing this. I'm going to go back, and perhaps it's on my home page. And yes, I did get rid of my home page. So I'm going to go to a different one. I'm going to go to sites/test. And I'm going to go to its home page. And now there's a plus new sign up here. And when I add that, I can choose page. And now it will give me different options. I've got a full page app is what it's called for the web part page. It's called a full page app. And you see I have an app here. This is a web part called the AOW General Web Part. That's the one that I offer for sale. So it is on here, and I can create a page with it. I would like to create it on my I would like to create the page on my legal SharePoint page. So I'm going to change test to the word legal. So we'll get over. We'll have the same page, but it'll open up on my other SharePoint. There we go. So now it even has extra web parts that I have installed on this SharePoint. I've got the AOW General app. I've got Spreadsheet Killer, Ideas Platform, and Request Platform. Hey, I just noticed I need to switch over and share my screen. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so now that I'm sharing my screen, you can see this. You can see this is the page that describes my web part that I'm offering to you that you can use for your own development. It is at automateofficework.com/SharePoint, or you can go to /products/webpart. All right, so now we've got this. I can create a new full page app, and I'm going to select it. Okay, use this template. Okay, so now I need to name my page. I'm going to call it Tool Hub. I'm going to do no spaces, all small letters, so it'll create the URL for this will be toolhub.aspx. I'm going to uncheck this box, show in site navigation. Okay, and then this is the one part of my web part that it needs an input, and this is a JavaScript file URL. I'm going to place it at automateofficework.sharepoint.com/sites/legal/toolhub/javascript.js. And I'm going to apply. And then I'm going to save. And I should see a complaint saying that that JavaScript file does not exist yet. And maybe if I do inspect, maybe it'll even give me an error or a warning. Yeah, the server responded with a status of 404, so it could not find that. Okay, I do have another solution that I created. It's an editor, and this you might be able to edit JavaScript and HTML files inside of SharePoint and find that it's a good experience for you. I did not like that experience, so I created my own editor, which I created using the web part that we're going to be using today. So I'm using this all the time, creating anything that I need. So I'm going to go to my editor, and it has a location here, sites/legal. I'm going to click on go. And now I've got all of these different things. First, I need to create a document library called ToolHub. Okay, so we're going to go site contents. We're at legal, go to our site contents. We're going to create a new document library. Blank. We're going to call it tool hub. We're not going to show it in the navigation. Create. Okay, so now it is here, and I can then reload in my editor. And I should have a tool hub folder. Yep, I do. And now I can create a new file. I'm going to call it javascript.js. And I am going to click on it to edit it. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to say alert hi. Save that. And now when I refresh this page, we should get an alert that says hi. And there it is, hi. Okay, so we have no more error about that. So our web part is working. Okay, so my web part, it creates an HTML element inside the web part area, and it has a class called AOW element. So I am going to, my web part also has jQuery available. It's not through a CTN, but it's actually bundled in. You also have jQuery UI, so you can do things like click and drag and sort. And what else does it have? It also has a JavaScript library called require, so that you can bring in other JavaScript libraries to do other things as well. Whatever you need to do, like converting HTML to a PDF, zipping and unzipping, anything that you need to do, you can bring those in using the require library in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to, using jQuery, I'm going to identify that AOW element, and we're going to insert some HTML. It's just going to say hello world. And now that we know that this is working, we can get rid of the alert. I'm going to click on save. And now when I refresh my page, we should see hello world. And there it is. It says hello world. So we are creating our solution inside of SharePoint. We've got it on a page. It's at sites/legal/site pages/toolhub.aspx. Okay. I am going to. Okay. So we need to start building this out. And we have to keep all of our JavaScript has to stay in javascript.js. We are allowed to create other like HTML files, but those things are going to be static. They can have no JavaScript inside them. Microsoft, their security policy requires all JavaScript to be in the very first file. So you can't hop to further files and bring in JavaScript from those other files. Microsoft considers that to be a security risk, so we cannot do it. So we're going to leave all of our JavaScript in javascript.js, but we're going to bring other our HTML and our CSS through other HTML files. Okay. All right, so let's start working on this a little bit. I'm going to create a constant, and we're going to use a variable, well, it's constant now, called SharePoint URL, and it's going to be sites/legal. So anytime I need to write this out as a URL, I'll just use this SharePoint.url instead of typing it out fully every single time. I'm also going to create another constant called my doc library, and that is going to be toolhub. So the same thing. We also have some global settings we need to create, or some, yeah, so I've got settings equals, it's going to be a data object that is empty right now. We're also going to create another one called email address for the logged in user. It's going to be blank string for now. And a variable is admin equals false. Okay, and now the very first thing we need to do is we need to get the email address of the logged in user. And we're going to use some jQuery. We're going to do an AJAX function. And here, I'll show you what it looks like. We're just going to print it to the console log. The URL for this is going to be our SharePoint URL plus, and then a /_API. /web/current user. And we want this to come back not as XML, but we want it to come back as JSON. So we have to say in our headers, accept application JSON. Often SharePoint gives back a whole bunch of extra data, like the owner of the data, the last time the data was modified, who has it checked out. All this stuff we don't need. So I'm going to add on to this OData equals no metadata. Okay, I'm going to save this and show you what it looks like. So I'm going to right click on anywhere on the web page, and this developer panel opens. I click on console tab, and now I can refresh the page, and I should get some extra data in here. Okay, so I do have this data object, which I can expand, and it shows me email, justin@automateofficework.onmicrosoft.com. I've got an expiration, an ID, is email authentication guest user, is false, is hidden in UI, is share by email. Anyway, I've got all this extra kind of data. It's got like my full name, Justin Terman. It's got a unique user ID. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. We only need this email address. So what we can do is on this URL, we can add question mark, $, select, email with a capital E. I'm going to save that. And now when I refresh this, it should only give us back the email address. And there it is. It says email and then my email address and then nothing else. Okay, so we're only getting the data that we need. And now here, I do not need to console log this out. I'm going to now say email address =data, which is, this is the variable of data that we're getting back from this AJAX call. It's data. And I only want the email address. So it's .email with a capital E. And we need to make this email address all small letters because yeah, sometimes people have capital letters in their email addresses. There's really no rhyme or reason to it that I've ever seen, but yeah, we need to normalize all the email addresses and make them all small. So especially when we're doing like JavaScript comparison, if I'm comparing the logged in user to a list of email addresses, if the logged in user's email address has capital letters in it and my list is all small, you can't do a good comparison that way. So we have to normalize all the email address and just make them small. So I'm going to do .to lowercase just in case. So now we have the logged in user's email address at a kind of a global variable level, and we can use that from now on. I also have, we need to create a settings file. So I'm going to click on new file, and I'm going to say settings.json. And I'm going to go to edit this, and we're going to create a JSON data object inside these curly braces. And now inside quotation marks, I can make my variables. So I'm going to create a list of admins, and it's going to be an array inside of square brackets. And each admin is going to be in quotation marks. And I'm going to put my own email address, justin@automateofficework.onmicrosoft.com. Okay, I'm going to do another variable. I'm going to call it platform name, and it's just going to be a string called tool hub. And I'm going to do background color, and this is going to be a number. It's 210. This is a nice blue color on the color wheel. Okay, I'm going to save this. So this is my settings so far, and now we need to get the settings. So after we've saved the email address, we can do another AJAX call. We have a URL. It's going to be SharePoint URL plus slash plus doc library plus slash settings.json. And we need the same headers. We don't want it to be XML. We want it to be JSON. So we can do accept application / JSON. Okay, and inside the done part of this, we're going to say settings equals data. And we're going to check if the logged in user is on the list of admins. So if settings.admins.includes, and then in parentheses, email address. If that is true, then we set is admin equals true. Okay, and now we're going to do a variable called HTML. I'm going to use a backtick so that I can use multiple lines in this lines of HTML. This is going to be HTML that is common across all of our pages. So it's kind of like the banner that's at the top, regardless of which page you're on in the solution. And we're going to do some CSS. So that is our style tag. I'm going to close it. And inside, we're going to set some variables that we can use. By default, we're going to create some colors so that we can use across all of our pages. We're going to use HSL, which is hue, saturation, and lightness. It's a very nice way to pick colors and get different colors that go well together. So we're always going to use this 210 by default, and we're also going to get the exact number from our settings. So the users can always change this base color in the future, but by default, we're going to do 110. Saturation is 100%. And for this dark color, the lightness is going to be 40%. Next one, I'm going to do light color. And I'm just going to copy. Light color is 90. Darker is going to be 30. Lighter is going to be 95. So that's going to be darker, lighter. Okay. And okay, so I think that's it for our style for now. We're going to start doing our header. So we're going to do a div element with an ID, which is toolhub header. We're going to put an image ID equals logo. And the source is going to be, and now we can use our backticker, SharePoint URL plus another backticker / we're going to do doc library plus backticker / images / toolhub.svg. Okay, and then we're going to do another div. The ID is platform name. And we're going to take it from our settings.platform name. So we called it toolhub in our settings file. So that's what should be printed out here. And then we're going to do a breadcrumb after that, which for now it's going to be empty. But as we get further and further, like not just at the home page, but we go deeper into the site, it'll say which page we're on in this breadcrumb. And we'll leave that empty for now. Okay, so we've got this HTML. We're going to print this HTML out to our AOW elements. Okay, let's come back here. Refresh. We should see at least a little bit on the screen. Refresh. And I'm looking to see if I'm getting any errors. I don't see anything obvious, but of course, there's always stuff that comes up. Also, sometimes it takes a few minutes for SharePoint to refresh. Sometimes it's getting this code from like a cache. So you have to save it a couple times and then come back and refresh. And what else? Okay, so I've got this var HTML, AOW element. Okay, so let's put our image over. So we've got a logo that I created. Going to get my logo. So this is the ToolHub logo that I created. It is a scalable vector graphic called SVG. So it looks good at any zoom level. We're not working with pixels here. Instead, we're working with lines and curves. So the browser creates this on the fly, and it looks great, and it never becomes blurry. So, okay, I need to go to my site settings. I'm going to create a new folder called images. And then in there, I'm going to put my logo. Maybe I can refresh. Maybe I can see my logo. No, no having it, not yet. Okay, what we can also do is we can console log HTML. I also see sometimes my editor, it starts doing like a second copy of the same line. So see how you see here, it does lines 1 through 60, and then it starts again, 1 through 15. So for whatever reason, it is getting confused. So I'm gonna just copy this. I'm going to reopen this, refresh the entire page. My legal toolhub javascript.js. Paste everything I had before and save it. Maybe now I can refresh. Okay, it is, oh, it's only getting up to the, wait. Oh, I didn't close my style tag. I think that's the reason why. It's closing my style tag for me afterwards. So I need to correct that. Or wait, I didn't do it myself. Okay. Style, close the style tag. It's because my HTML was inside the style tag. Okay, refresh. Okay, it says ToolHub. It's not pointing exactly to the image. Let's see where it is pointing the image to. Site/legal/toolhub/images, toolhub.svg. Oh, I didn't close out the URL. It's then continuing. It thinks the rest of the URL is div ID equals platform name. Okay, so I need to close. There, I should need to use my apostrophe or my single quote. Refresh. Should get, yep. So here's the logo, and here's the word ToolHub, which is coming from our settings page. It's then a URL or it's a variable called platform name. Okay, so now we need to start doing some more CSS, some styling. So we're going to say ToolHub header background color, and we're going to use the variable dark color. Some nice padding inside of it. The color of the text is going to be, we're going to use a variable called invert color. So I need to set that as well. So sometimes the background of our header might be kind of light. So then we want the letters to be black. But then other times that color might be dark and we want the letters to be white. So we're going to have this this variable called invert color. And by default, this blue color is rather dark. So by default, we're going to use our text is going to be white. And then the same thing with images. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they need to be white. So we're going to create a variable called invert image. We're going to set it by default to 1. Okay, so this color is invert color. Font size 40 pixels. Okay, and we want our logo. Width is 50 pixels. We're going to filter it, and we're going to invert using the variable invert image. And we want to vertically align it in the middle. And we want some space to the right of it. We want 10 pixels. And let's see, we've got platform name. We need to style that. We also want it to be vertically aligned in the middle. Display is inline block, so it's on the same line with the image. And let's make it bold. Okay, so refresh this. Okay, so we have the beginnings. We've got a header with a nice logo and a name. Okay, next we're going to make another div below that where we're going to put the contents of our various pages. So we're going to, in our HTML, make another div, ID equals tool hub page. And we're going to want to, like by default, we're going to put our home page inside of this. And okay, so by default, we're going to load that. We're identifying the element with a hashtag tool hub page. And we're going to load in a file that we're going to create here. It's going to be in our document library. And it's going to be called home.html. And after that is loaded, we want some JavaScript to run. If the person is an admin, or wait, we don't need to do this yet. We'll do this kind of stuff later. Okay, so let's save that and let's create a new file, home.html. We're going to edit that. We're just going to put the word home for now. So when I refresh this, we should see the word home. All right, we see the word home. So it is getting that so far. So let's go create our home page. And on this page, this home.html, we cannot put any extra JavaScript. If we do, like if I say script, and then I say alert hi, and close my script tag, if I save this, and if I go back, refresh this page, we're going to get some errors in our console. See all of this giant pink. It says executing inline script violates the following content security policy directive. And yeah, so Microsoft is complaining. You cannot do it this way. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to take this away. If I did want it to say hi, well, let's put some home here. I have to go back to my JavaScript. We have to run the JavaScript after the HTML is loaded. That's why I created this this function piece here, and I can now say alert hi. So when I save that, if I refresh, now I should be able to get my little alert box. Maybe it's caching it. Okay, yeah, there it is. There's the hi. So this is how you get JavaScript onto your homepage. You have to leave it in the very first JavaScript file. Okay, so go back to my home.html. I'm going to just copy over a whole bunch of HTML that I've already created for the homepage. Just paste it in, and maybe I'll go over it with you. So we're styling all these things. So we're putting a maximum width. Okay, so very first thing we're doing is we're creating a div element called homepage. And then we're putting some styling in there for all of this. The maximum width of our homepage will be 1,000 pixels. If the user's window is wider than that, I don't want the content of the screen to be that wide. The maximum width is 1,000. We're going to have a toolbar along the top, which is going to be a line to the right. That toolbar is going to have URLs, kind of things that you can click on and go to other pages. Each of those is going to have some padding of 5 pixels around it. It's going to have some images with a certain height. We're going to filter them so there's some opacity to them. Let's see. We're also going to need a whole bunch of images for those icons. So I'm going to create in my images, folder, I'm going to create a new folder called icons. Let's see, Tool Hub, images, icons. And I'm going to come over to here, Tool Hub, images. Should have a folder called icons. And now I'm just going to copy and paste a few of these. I've got like 3 of them. Okay, I've got administrator.svg. I've got a gear.svg. And a question mark. So these are going to be in our toolbar along the top. Okay, so now when I refresh this, oh, it's saying hi still. That's nice. It's still saying hi. I want to get rid of that pop-up. Okay, so we've got a bunch of images that are not being loaded because we don't know the URL. We need that. Remember, there was a SharePoint URL and a doc library URL. We cannot use our JavaScript variables inside of just plain HTML. So we have to load these images after the HTML page has been loaded. So we're going to do that inside of this function after the home.html has loaded. And that is, so we're going to create a function called load images. And go down a couple lines, create my load images function there. Okay, so it's taking all of these images that have these different classes, admin SVG, gear SVG, help SVG, and it's setting the source of the image using the SharePoint URL and the doc library, and then the path to those images, like images/icon/administrator.svg. So now when I save this, and if I refresh this page again, we should hopefully get some images. Yep, so we've got some images. We've got a gear and we've got a question mark. Okay, so what happened to the administrator, you might be asking? Well, we have in our CSS here, it says not to show it. There, admin link, display none. And this is because now we have to do a check to see, is the person an admin? If they're an admin, then show it. Okay, so we're going to go back to our JavaScript, and I'm just going to load this in. So before loading the images, I have a conditional if is admin, then set the admin link, display to inline block. And I also have a button that I want to show. That's this new item button. Go. So according to this, you can only add a new item if you're an admin. Everybody else can only view this list. Okay, so we've got the word home and we've got this new button. And I actually want to do some more padding around this button to make it look a little bit nicer. So that is in our common HTML. There it is. So we're going to put some padding around our ToolHub page so it's not right up against the edge of the screen. And any button, we're going to put padding all around it of 10 pixels. Okay, so now the word home is going to come in a little bit. The button is going to come in a little bit. We're going to get some better padding around all of the button. Okay, so now the word, yeah, that did it. So this all looks a little bit nicer. We've got this toolbar, and I am an admin, so it does show me this this link to the admin page. Okay, so each of these, when you click on it, it's going to go to the same page, toolhub.aspx. But if you can see it, there is. If I make this big, no, it doesn't make it any bigger. The URL that this goes to is page equals admin. So this is essentially going to work like a single page application. For us to go to different pages, we're just changing a variable in the URL. This one, it says page equals admin. This other one says page equals settings and page equals help. Okay, but right now we don't have those set up. No matter where you go, it's always going to say home and then have this new button. Okay, now we need to start structuring our data for our lists of tools, and we're going to use this SharePoint document library. We're going to create go get outside of images, go into the tool hub, and we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it folders. This is because SharePoint has a limit of how many things, how many items can be inside a folder. If we were just to drop all of our stuff right in here in the root, we could only have a limit of 5,000. And I know that sounds like a lot, and you might be saying, well, Justin, I'm not going to have 5,000 tools. And I'm going to say, are you sure? And why not just use best practices that you can use the maximum number of items on your SharePoint. The maximum number of items on a SharePoint, I believe it is 30 million. And so if you do if you take that limit of 5,000 and let's say, okay, so I've got folders. Inside of folders, I can put 5,000 things. So I'm going to create my very first folder in here. Add new folder. I'm going to call it 1. And then inside that folder, I'm going to create another. Do I need to? No, I don't need to. Okay, so it can just create 5,000 things in this level. And then at the parent level, we can have 5,000 folders. So this 5,000 folders with 5,000 tools in each, that is 25 million. Our absolute limit of things on SharePoint is 30 million, but we just set it up so that we can have 25 million. If you absolutely want to use that other 5 million that is left over, you could do another layer of folders and just call it 1 again, and then have 5,000 in that. So you'd have 5,000 times 5,000 times 5,000, which is an incredible amount, and you're going to hit your limit if you do it that way. Yeah, let's just do it at this 1 folder level deep. Okay, so in here in my folder 1, now I can create a new folder. And when you create a new folder, it's actually creating an item. And let's just call it 4 random characters. Let's do B8EH. I'm going to create it. Okay, so this line is going to represent one of our tools. Okay, we're going to add some columns. We need to do some text. There are 2 different ways of getting data from this document library. One of them is to view this as a tree of folders, and we can go up and down. We can see the parent-child relationship. You can see the files and folders inside a folder. And the other way of viewing it is as a list of all of these items. Both folders and files are both seen as items, and items have metadata. They have columns of metadata. So we're going to create a column. It's going to be called ID title, and it's going to be a single line of text. A single line of text has a maximum of 256 characters, but it is also filterable by default. You can search it. If you need more characters than that, over 256, by default, you cannot do a search off of that. You can only get the data, but you cannot be filtering and searching off of the contents of that column, at least by default. There, you do have a maximum of 20 columns that you can index, and then those 20 columns do become searchable. But yeah, by default, no. Okay, so we've got a column called ID title. Let's create another one, text. This is also going to be maximum 256 characters, and I'm going to call it friendly title. So yeah, we have these tools that we're going to have. You need to have a unique ID that identifies each tool, and that ID will never change, and it has to be unique. That's why we're using B8EH. That is the unique identifier of this tool. And then it's going to have a friendly title of whatever we call it. We're then also going to have another column. We can say, let's do text, and we're going to say status. So what is the status of this tool? We're also going to have, let's do a description. So that's going to be more than 256 characters. It's multiple lines. And we're going to call it description. And let's do owners. Owners will also be multiple lines. Owners. Okay, now let's edit this. We just need to get some like dummy data into here. So then we can put it out onto our screen to show you how to create the user interface. Okay, we're going to edit in grid view. Okay, ID title is also B8EH. Friendly title is going to be wiki. Status is ready. Description, a place to store all kinds of knowledge. And owners is going to be an array. So we need square brackets. And then inside, we need email addresses of people inside quotation marks separated by commas. So it's going to be Justin at automateofficework.onmicrosoft.com. Okay, and then we exit. Okay, so now we need to be able to get this data and put it onto our homepage. We're going to have a spreadsheet of all the list of all the tools. Okay, so let's go back to our homepage, our home.html, and we do have a place. We have a HTML table element. The ID is tool table. And so then let's use our JavaScript. Just after it says load images, we're going to run a function load home tools. And I'm just going to copy this over. I've got a function that I already created. This function is load home tools. It's going to do an AJAX call to the URL is to our SharePoint /API/web/lists/get by title. The title of our list, it's the name of our document library, which is ToolHub. We're going to get the items from it and question mark. We're going to filter. We're only going to get the items that have an ID title that is not null. So that means that it's only going to get items where there is something inside this column that's ID title. You see, like if I was to go up, we have a folder called 1. It does not have anything inside ID title. If we were not to filter, it would actually give us back it would give us every single thing that's inside our document library, including like home.html, javascript.js, settings.json. We don't need all this. We don't need every single image. What we're looking for is these folders that symbolize each one of our tools. So like this B8EH. Okay, so it's giving us back those. We're setting then an HTML variable, and we're getting back all of our data is in a variable called data. And here, let me run it, and I'll show you the shape of that data, the structure of the data. Refresh. Okay, so it's giving us back a data object. It has a key called value, and then there's an array of these different values. It's only giving us back one value because there's only one row of data that matches our different tools that we have. We only have a single tool right now. It has the number of 0, and then it gives us all the data that is associated with that tool item. So you see like owners, it has that string of data. ID title is B8EH. Status is read you. Okay, I need to change that to ready, of course. Edit this. Okay, so if I refresh this, oops. Okay, status is ready. So we're getting all of this data and we can use it. Like the word wiki is there, friendly title, and we're able to get that into this title. It's into this table of the tools. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so for each one of these items, for each, we're then creating a variable called item with only the data of that item. And then each time we're adding to our HTML variable, we're creating a table row that's TR, and then there's a table cell called TD, and inside that is it's a href. It's how do you say this in like plain language? This is the URL that the person can click on to go to a different page. So the URL is $item equals, and then we're using the unique ID title. I think it was 8E or 83BH or something like that. And then the text that you actually see is item.friendly title. So for us, that's wiki. And then we close each one of our tags. You're doing that for every tool that's coming out of this. If the HTML equals blank, so if there's actually no tools that you've gotten out of this, we create a line, it just says none. And then before that, we create a row, a table header that just says title. And then we're taking that HTML and we're putting it into our HTML element, the tool table. So yeah, this generates our homepage. We have title, wiki, and when a person clicks on this, it goes to $item equals B8EH. Okay, and you notice that this light blue color is going outside of our cell, and that is because we need to do box sizing. It's very, very useful. Okay, up here just after the root, I'm going to say asterisk. Actually, I'm going to say dot AOW element asterisk box sizing border box. And I guess in a nutshell, it means like children should not overextend the container of their parent. So now if I refresh this, yep, now it's very nice. A person can click anywhere on this row. We could even add um, extra columns of data here, maybe the owner, the last time it was modified, when it was created, maybe some different tags and things. But you can add as much data here as you want. We could also add like a sorting function, like sort by alphabetical order, sort by, I don't know how many likes this has gotten. Maybe that could be another data point. We can count the number of times everybody likes this tool. But yeah, okay, we can also get rid of the word home, probably. But for now, people at least know they're on the home page. Okay, so this has been about an hour, and you see how you can start the fundamentals of creating your solution inside of SharePoint. You see very quickly we were able to make like a little header. We're starting to make the navigation. We're starting to make a button where people can add new items. They can see everything. If I was to click on this, ideally this should go to the tools page and the person can see all the data about it. We would then create like a comments section where people can leave feedback and read other people's data. Maybe we would have a subscriber option. Maybe I want to be alerted when people leave comments about this tool. Um, yeah, and then in the settings, I would say like how often I want to receive these. Maybe I want to bundle all of my notifications into a single email that I receive once a day instead of separate emails, because receiving, I don't know, 30 or 50 emails from this a day would be quite annoying. I don't want to get all those. Just let me know once a day. But now you can see that we can arrange this. We've got data. You can use SharePoint as a database, and you can use a SharePoint page as an interface. And this is extremely powerful. You can do all kinds of stuff with all of this data. We've only been getting the data, but you can just as easily post, and you can put data onto places. The user who's logged in only has the access rights that they already have under SharePoint. So they can only get data that they have access to. They can only edit data that they have edit rights to as well. Let's see. All right. If you're enjoying this content, I'd like to remind you that I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account. You can make a voluntary small donation, whether either one time or monthly, to me at buymeacoffee.com/automate office. I'd be very grateful, and it shows that you appreciate the content that I'm providing here as well. As well as if you are enjoying this content, please feel free to share it with others who can also get benefit from this content. Um, this content is on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So no matter where you are, if you would subscribe and leave comments and share, I would appreciate it so we could grow this channel wherever you're getting the content. All right, so what do we want to do? I think the next we want to do a page. So when I click on this, it takes me to this. So it does say item equals B8EH. But it is not going to that page yet. It's only going to the home page still because that's all we've ever pointed at. So, okay, so now we need to go further. We need to separate this out. So we are going to have to get, those are called URL parameters. So I'm going to do a quick search, JavaScript URL params. We're going to get them. Okay. I'm just going to copy that. Params equals this. Const. Const. Let's do page equals params.get page. And then let's do the same thing for item. Item equals params dot get item. And let's see, I want this to be to lowercase to normalize it all the time. And I want this to be uppercase to normalize that. And let's say if item tool hub page dot load. Wait, just take all of this, copy it. Item.html, else if page equals admin else if settings else. So if none of those, okay, so now I need an item.html file. Just put item in there. Let's also create an admin.html with admin settings.html. And help. Okay, let's see what happens now. So I refresh this. It should be going to an item page. It says null reading to lowercase. Okay. So that means we cannot do a check if it is null. Okay, so these things, to lowercase and uppercase, should only be done if the URL parameter is not null or undefined. So I need to ask, I'm going to ask Gemini how to do this. How to only do to uppercase if not null. That's to lowercase. Yep, it's something with chaining. It's optional chaining with a question mark. And we're going to have to do the same thing to here. To uppercase. Save that. Refresh. Okay, now we have the word item here. So we are going to an item page. And now we need to have a whole bunch of JavaScript just to get the details of this one item, put it in a table. Then we need to make it editable if the person is an admin or if they are the owner of the tool. If they're on the list of owners or if they're on the list of admins, everything should be editable. Maybe this will be the last part of this, and then I will stop for today. And if you want to see the rest of that, then I'll make it available probably to purchase as an extra special educational thing. So you guys are actually learning how to create these with me. Okay, so now I do have load. If it is an item, you do that. Let's do this function load item page. And let's put the item in there. So it comes along in the function. I'm going to create a function, load item page, item. We also need to do a little bit of extra on our item page. We should have a div ID equals item page. Function load item page. And we're going to put into item page. We're going to do the HTML is going to be the item. Just to check that it's working. Refresh. So it should say item, and then below that, yep, B8EH. So next we can get all the data of this exact row of data. So we're going to do an AJAX call. The URL is going to be our SharePoint URL underscore API web lists get by title. The title is going to be doc library. Items, we're going to do a filter equals, and then it was ID title equals. It's going to be item. And we're going to do a top equals 1. So that means we only get one item back at a maximum. Okay, headers. Accept application JSON OData equals no metadata. And let's do console log this. So we can make sure we're getting the right data. It says bad request. So what did I do wrong? Open this in a new tab. Access outside SharePoint is not allowed. What's this? automateofficework.com, automateofficework.sharepoint.com/site/legal _ API web lists get by title. Okay. Tool hub. Idle. Oh, I didn't close it. I should not have done a question mark. Question mark is a typo. This should be an ampersand. And I needed to close the single quote. And let's also stop this. This is annoying to see the HTML all the time. Refresh. Okay, so we're getting the value. We're getting a single item out. And it should be our tool, our wiki tool. Yep, here it is. Friendly title, wiki, ID title. We see the owners, the status is ready. Okay, so now we can create a table that has all of this. We can output the table. Okay, so we could start var HTML equals, we can do a backtick. So we can do multiple lines in our HTML variable. We can do table, our first row, TD. This can be title. And we can do another cell. And we can do data. Okay, so we need to create another variable, item data equals data dot value, and it's going to be the very first one in our array. So now I can do item data dot friendly title. And now we can do item page dot append HTML. Save that. Refresh. Okay, it says title undefined. Need to figure out why it's doing this. Item data. Maybe I called it something else. Friendly title. Yeah, friendly title, friendly title. Data value, it is 0. Friendly title is wiki. Console log, item data. Let's see if I'm getting the right data inside this variable. It's because I have the letter J on there. I had a typo. There it is. Okay, title, wiki. So you see, again, we're getting the basics. We could even say table ID equals item table. And now in our CSS, inside item.html, item table, we can say border collapse, item table TD. We want to have padding equals 10 pixels, and we want border 1 pixel solid black. And let's do the very first cell on each row. We're going to make it bold. Font weight bold. Okay. So now you see the basics of how to get exactly the data that we want. We're using the unique ID of the item from the URL. We're then able to create and generate a page with all of its data We can then check to see, is the person an admin or on the list of owners, and you can give them extra buttons and edit rights. When they do certain things, then it updates the data. So that makes it all editable if you have editing rights. Then we would go back to the home page and be able to see everything from here. So these are the basics. I think we've gone long enough now. We've gone at least an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. I hope that this was beneficial for you. I hope it shows, you know, like the realness of this, that you don't need huge fancy tools. You already have SharePoint. Just learn how to use it. Even a person like me, I was able to teach myself just by opening Microsoft 365 and start using it. The potential of this is endless. You can create basically anything that you need, connect it, get the basics of things that you need, and start creating. If you need extra help, reach out to me. I'm available for consulting, as well as I already have several of these tools. Check out my tools, automateofficework.com/projects, as well as yeah, I have tools that I've already packaged as well that are available, and I can help you with your custom solutions that you need creating as well. My specialty is I'm an expert in legal as well as compliance. I do legal operations. I can help you with your operations as well. My name is Justin. You can reach me at justin@automateofficework.com, as well as reach out to me and let's connect on LinkedIn and let's chat. All right. I hope that this is beneficial for you. And I hope that this inspires many people to go down this journey of creating and figuring out how to do stuff and automate things on your own. All right. And then I guess until next time, I wish you happy automating.